Hi there, it's Monday. I'm going to show you my favorite myofascial stretch method technique of the day. We're going to go over a couple ways that you can use to balance your pelvis. So if you have someone who maybe has told you that you have pelvic alignment issues, hey Cami, so if your hips are forward on one side more than the other, this can be really helpful to stabilize your hips. Hey Robin. And so we're going to be using muscle techniques to actually pull on those bones. So again, fascia and muscles, fascia specifically is kind of bossing those bones around. So sometimes our hips are out and we can just use a movement to actually get that pelvis to line back up. So if you've heard of someone say right anterior tilt or any of those things, hey Tina, you can add these to some of your stretching. And of course, if you're moving, if you're mobile, they'll actually be more effective. So if you're doing your myofascial stretch method techniques and holding those techniques for that 2 to 5 minutes, so you're actually allowing the fascia to get that elasticity back. So I'm going to show you a couple things. Your PT or your therapist might have shown you these, so we're just a little refresher here. And if you haven't done these before, just really listen to your body. They're really gentle and mellow, and you can, again, we're not forcing anything. So just all along those myofascial release, that you never force it, right? So we're just going to listen to our body. You're going to be fine. I'm only going to need a bolster, but you could also use a soccer ball or a basketball because we're going to do that pelvic squeeze. So I'm going to go on my mat here so you can see me. So, alrighty. So as I lay on my back, it kind of doesn't matter if you have a right anterior tilt or a left anterior tilt, or your hips just feel wonky, or hey, you got sucked into Ozark on Netflix and you sat there for a few hours longer than you thought. Whoops. So that wasn't me. No, I didn't do that at all last night. Okay, so if I'm laying on my back and we talk about a pelvic tilt, and so you know what, I'm going to actually show you in a tabletop first so you can see my pelvis and my back. So if I tuck my tail feathers, right, you can see how I'm tucking my tailbone under and it adds that arch to my back. If I push it out there, this is not what we're going to do on the floor here. We're going to tuck our tail feathers. And all that movement comes from here. So it's not as exaggerated as we are in the tabletop. So that's what I'm going to be up to, right? So my knees are bent. They're open a little wider than hip width. And then I'm just going to tuck my tail here. And it's very subtle. You can just see. It just adds a little bit of movement here. And then we just hold it there. This is really great strengthener. So it's more of a, to kind of stabilize the area. I also like to do this one first so that it engages those deep core muscles, because I can kind of cheat and use those bigger, larger muscle groups. But me engaging that really small of my back just by a little tilt of my pelvis. This next beauty is bridge. A lot of us do a bridge. And I'm just going to show you the basics here. Again, you're just going to lift your bottom up off the floor and hold it. I think you can go higher, but really, I wonder, you know, I'm really focusing on the heels and my feet on the floor, and I'm just bridging a little bit. I'm really showing you this one because the next one is beautiful, and I love it. And this one just gives you a kind of idea of where we're going here. Sometimes if someone has chronic low back pain, that's really hard. So if you have sharp pain, you can wait, and we can always do it at the clinic together and work on that and work our way up there. Or you can do more of the myofascial stretch method techniques to loosen everything as you learn how to do this. So everyone kind of sees the bridge, right? But what we're going to use is, I call it the half-ass bridge. Tina, what do we call this one? That's so funny. So I'm going to just have one leg bent and the other one is flat. I'm going to do the opposite so you guys can see me. So what happens is, if I bridge, I'm going to push through this bent foot, this foot on the floor through my heel, but the opposite side is going to be spaghetti. I'm not going to do anything over there. I'm just going to be floppy, which means that glute is going to stay on the floor, right? So a lot of times we want to work really hard and kind of help it out. So if you can have your arms on the floor to stabilize, but I'm just gonna do this bridge, right? And you notice, I can tell I'm like, oh, my body's like, yes, please do this. And then my belly button goes towards that opposite wall a little bit, but my knee, I don't know if you can see that angle there, my knee is straight. So sometimes our knee wants to go like you're rotating there, not so much on this one. So you're gonna have that leg is straight, coming straight up from your body, and the movement happens as your belly and your body moves over. So I tighten my glute, and it tips my body over. And again, this opposite side is spaghetti. And so you just want to kind of zoom in on that with your attention and let it be floppy. And imagine all of this kind of opening and add some mobility into the pelvis, sacroiliac joint, your SI joints. And this beauty, you're going to do both sides. And I like to go back and forth, right? You're just kind of greasing the wheel like a pulley system. So I bent that opposite leg. I've got my foot on the floor. I'm going to remind myself to soften and not let this opposite side do a thing. And then I'm going to tighten this glute and do a half-ass bridge. And you can see my belly button is here. It starts to come towards the opposite wall, kind of in an angle here. And this knee is straight. So as opposed to coming with me. Okay, so we keep that straight, kind of opens up this area. I've got my glute tight. It's firing. This side, not firing. It's not doing a thing. And I feel that. So you can bridge up, hold it for 10 seconds, and then go to the opposite side. So I'm going to bend that knee. I got my foot on the floor. I'm going to remind myself to let that other side be floppy. Push through the heel of my foot. Tighten that glute, and I'm got that leg straight, and my belly, my pelvis shifts over. I'm not sliding on the mat at all. Just a little rockety rock, right? And it's really adding some movement where I have not moved in a little, probably like a week or 2 or 3, huh? I thought, what do I need to do that we should be doing today? This is it. This is the winner. I'm not holding it as long. I'm just getting all chatty. So here, tighten, hold for 10 seconds. Whoa. Loosen this side, check it, see, make sure you're not, this should not be lift or raised up. That means you're working. And relax. And we'll go back and forth, and then we're going to make up the beautiful thing called time that says 10 seconds, 10 times. But you can modify that to however you like. Again, we're just greasing the wheel. So another one that you can do that adds movement in that area is I can have both my legs straight and my feet here, and I just call them hip hikes. So if imagine what's working is this space between my hip and my ribs. So if I were to tighten this and pull it towards me, right? And that foot comes with it too. The whole leg, spaghetti, not doing a thing. All the movement is here in my trunk, okay? So then when I let this go, I'm going to switch and go to the opposite side. So I'm going to pull this together. Watch this leg. It's going to shimmy down while this one kind of comes up, just from movement in my pelvis. It's like if you were on the sand on the beach. Wouldn't that be fun? But you're basically making smiley faces with your butt in the sand, right? Doot, doot. And this one, you can just go back and forth, listening to your body. Shouldn't have any electrical, nothing sharp. Just imagine your pelvis shimmying and creating space and movement in that tight spot that can get so cranky sometimes. Those are some sweet hip hikes. My husband just made me a smoothie, and I think it had chia seeds in it. All right, let's see. I was going to do another one too. So we did pelvic tilts, we did bridges, really to get into the half-ass bridges. We did some hip hikes. Hang on, let me think about it here. There's another one. Oh, I know. I got it. This is why we got our bolster here. So if you imagine my adductors here attached to my pelvis, and if I squeeze my adductors, they're going to pull down on my pelvis. It's one of those things too, I just see it work all day long, and I go, wow, it just works. It's amazing. So what you're going to need is something between your knees, because you're going to hold your legs. I'm going to show you a little bit here. You're going to have your knees, something bracing, so that when you squeeze together, there's some resistance there. That could be your partner's arm if you wanted. They can put their hand and elbow here or both, kind of brace between. You don't want them too wide because it doesn't really, you don't really have the strength and it doesn't really get in there, right? So probably around hip width apart, like a soccer ball or a volleyball is a good one. I'm going to use my bolster today, so I'm going to put that between my knees. And if you're doing it, you're going to be laying flat, and my body is relaxed, and all I'm going to do is squeeze my knees together into that resistance, and just right here, and I'm really going to get it a good right? I'm going to pull, push, push, push. So I'm squeezing. If I was your therapist and you're on my table, I'd be saying, get it, get it, get it, squeeze, and then relax. Same thing, you can squeeze that and have that resistance for 10 seconds. Relax. Add that squeeze again. I notice, check this out, I'm firing way more on my right side than my left side. That is not new, I gotta say. If you know me and my hips, that's not new. Squeezing for 10 seconds. Again, I'm not arching, I'm not doing all this other work up here, right? My body is relaxed. The engagement is just right here in my adductors, in that center thigh, and relax. That is beautiful. Just do it 2 or 3 times. Sometimes you'll even feel like a little pop, and that's just that pubic symphysis kind of shifting around. So just ligament stuff. You're not forcing anything. Just like we do with all of that authentic myofascial release. John Barnes has taught us well, you don't force a thing. You just go into resistance, use those muscles to strengthen. And after that one, I like to do a little bridge. And notice how much easier that is. For me, I gotta say, this person on the mat, after doing that little series we just did, that is much easier. My body says, I can do this. So you're just kind of greasing the wheel. And again, sometimes that can just get your body moving, and then the hips just line right up. You stand up and your body feels good. If you ever feel like you have one leg longer than the other, true leg length discrepancies are very rare, like less than 10%. And those are only caught by like the tape measure and an x-ray. You can't kind of wing it. So it's usually just the pelvis is out. There's so many different ways that the pelvis can be tight and shift and move your femur. Those legs can work in those different ways. I'm going to come closer so I can see you. Shoop! Hey, I took a shower today. How about that? It's a miracle. And I have been working on my beautiful beloved bus project. So that includes some computer work, which I got to say is, that's an edge for me. So we worked on balancing the pelvis today. Such a beauty to add these techniques because we don't have to walk around in pain. That is not a thing, not a given, whether we've even been injured or we've had pain a long time. You start giving that fascia some attention, your body can really start to soften and move. You can get underneath those pain patterns and really start to understand what the body is needing and where it's tight, where some techniques can actually give you some relief. And just be really patient and start to be sweet with yourself. And take your time. Consistency, right? So you can do a class every day even. When we do intensives with our work, sometimes we go to a clinic and get worked on 3 times a day for a week or 2. Like, it's really getting under those patterns. So if you have some time right now, it's a really great way to get into those spaces. So when you get back into your regular routine, you are on it, you've got a really nice base, and then you can just integrate some of your favorites into your day as you're doing it. Hey, Peggy. How nice to see you. Anyway, it's so great to see you all. I hope you have a magical day. And it's Monday, but I don't know if that matters for a lot of us out there. So take care of yourself. Take a beautiful walk. Check out those red buds. And I will see you tomorrow with my favorite myofascial stretch method technique. It's been really great. I'm really enjoying being with you all. Thanks so much. Bye.